Hotel and accommodation provided by the Sheraton Gateway Hotel.
We're here at the 2023 Toronto International Film Festival at the premiere of The Dead Don't Hurt, written, produced, and directed by Viggo Mortensen. Hi, Viggo. How are you? So I heard that the female lead in this movie was dedicated to your late mother, Grace. So tell us about that.
Well, my mom was born and grew up in northern New York, near the St. Lawrence River, like right on the border. And her dad was from Canada, from Nova Scotia. And so the region that you see, with the landscapes that you see in the story and the childhood of Vivian, the character Vicky plays, it's meant to be where my mom was from. And I was imagining her as a little girl from stories she told me about her upbringing. And she had a rich imagination. So that's the kind of girl I started writing the story about. And then I thought, okay, where's this going? Let's see what this woman becomes, as an adult. And then the structure is kind of complicated. You go back and forth in time, but it's really about this girl who becomes a woman, who is an unusually independent-minded woman, especially for that time, and strong-willed, without being like Superwoman. She's like doesn't have superpowers. She's just like tough, emotionally, but she's also vulnerable. So it needed an actress who had a lot of range and a lot of courage, really, and was not vain. Just would go for it. And I could think of nobody that would play it better than Vicky, so we're lucky.
I just want to ask you one more question. My show's an inspirational show. What's the best advice someone ever gave you in your career?
Be grateful.
And your character has such a strong feminist lead, especially for that era, 1800s, where she was very non-conventional. What's your favorite part of your character?
Oh, well, I love about her that she's non-conventional and at the same time she is. It's not like she wears pants or she's shooting a gun all the time or whatever. So in that way, she's still a woman, she's in her dress and in her little thing. And if she goes to work, well, then she's, cleaning glasses and whatever. And very sensitive and sensible, So that's what I like about her, that she's very much a woman. Which means she's a woman and she's not a woman. She's independent, but she's also, waiting for her man to return, which is not very, she actually stays and waits for the man to return in hope that maybe he will be better. Which I think, why I say that is because I think for so many generations of women, this was the case. You would just wait for the man to either change or return or come back and be better. And that's something that must have been so hard and hurtful and tiring that I have so much admiration for this. That for me, that was what I really preferred about my character, or liked about her. That she has both sides, the very feminine, but also the strong, independent, I say what I think. Yeah.
We also had a chance to attend the red carpet premiere of El Sabor De La Navidad, produced by Mexican-American actress Salma Hayek.
Antes de que sigamos, te voy a hacer una pregunta.
So what can people take away from this film?
I believe this film is a film of traditions that need to be updated. The very traditional Christmas, family, Mexico, the old school way of doing things, and the new way of looking at life, of living life with inclusion, with diversity. This movie tackles that bridge. So I believe people will enjoy it, will have fun, because it's fun. It has funny moments and fun eye candy, but at the end and in the surface of everything, like I said, it's a bridge to take traditions into an upgraded way of looking at them.
And the Mexican culture is all about food, family, togetherness, and this movie has all of those elements, as well as the spirit of Christmas and forgiveness. So tell us about those underlying themes.
I love what you say, because forgiveness at the end of the day is just being able to empathize. When you say to someone, I forgive you, there's a bit of ego there where I can give you my forgiveness so that you would do better. And I believe it's not so much like that. I think it's more about, I understand that we are different, And if I can live and let live, and I can accept who you are and you can accept who I am, forgiveness can be eradicated. So I love that forgiveness in its new version thematically does hold this movie. So yeah.
Especially during the holidays, right? Who doesn't like Christmas?
Yeah, who doesn't love that unlovable uncle or cousin that you don't see all year, but somehow that 24th of December, you love that person and you can all, have some turkey, and that's great.
Yeah. And of course, Salma Hayek is the producer. How is it working with her and the rest of the team?
We love Salma. We love Pepe Tames, who is a screenwriter as well and producer of this film. And, it's our second collaboration with Salma. We did Monarca for Netflix a couple years ago. And we love Salma. We don't understand where Salma gets time to be, because you would think that she might not be as present, and she's the most present producer. She gets involved in the script. She gets involved during shooting. She sends comments during editing. She's just an amazing overall just hands-on woman that we are more than honored to just have in our lives, because she's also a good friend. So yeah.
My show is an inspirational show, and I created my platform to inspire anyone that's watching. So what do you think, if you can name 3 things that made you successful in this industry, what would you say they are?
How do you say rigor in English? Rigor? Rigor? I never used it in English. Interesting. Okay, so rigor, I believe it's one of the most important traits you can have. Yeah. Just be flawless, because rigor will help you in your creative work and in your life. Be someone that is congruent with your speech. Your speech has to be congruent with your actions, and as I mentioned before, empathy towards all. I believe that to me drives everything that I do.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So what was your favorite part about working on this movie?
I think making a love film, because this is my movies, they're always about action or about bloody, so I had the chance to make a love story, which is always amazing.
And what do you think people can take away from this story?
Joy, definitely. I think it's a movie that when you sit and watch it, you just feel joy, because it's 3 love stories, and that's the main thing we wanted to portray. Thank you.
We're here at the Toronto International Film Festival 2023 for the red carpet premiere of Widow Clicquot, played by Haley Bennett. The movie is based on the popular champagne brand Vive Clicquot. Let's take a look. So this movie is about entrepreneurship, love, perseverance. Let's talk about these underlying themes of this movie.
Well, when I read the book 14 years ago and fell in love with her story, what drew me to the idea of trying to make this film was, here was this woman in 1805 whose unbelievably audacious journey is still as relevant today as it was then. And I love the fact that this young widow, aged 27, went after her passions and her dreams. And that's what you still hope for everyone today, to go after what they aspire, and overcoming all the different odds and the hurdles and on this long journey that life is. And I loved her courage and her persistence and her strength and her audacity. And that's what I related to. And I wanted to share that story with an audience all over the world. And, everybody knows the champagne Veuve Clicquot, but nobody knows that it means Widow Clicquot, and that it was a woman who created that champagne early in the 19th century. And we decided to focus on the origin story. And I'm super excited that it would premiere tonight, in Toronto.
And of course, the story is about perseverance and a woman being an entrepreneur in an era that it was banned. So let's talk about the resilience of this character.
I think that Barbe Nicole Ponsardin Clicquot showed her resilience in so many different ways. I mean, she had to give up so much in order to retain what she really wanted to do, which was create the best possible champagne in the world. She was a mother, but of course, like all young working women, you have to balance between motherhood and work. She worked at a time, she created the champagne during the Napoleonic Wars, so that in itself was even more difficult. She had to deal with blockade, she had to deal with nature, she had to deal with so many different things. But at the end of the day, it was her competition that wanted to bring her down, because men, felt, how could a woman be known to be behind this incredible champagne? And it's only by figuring out that in the Napoleonic Code, there was a loophole for widows, that she was able to retain her vintage and her champagne. But in doing so, she of course gave up a lot too, right? By deciding she would stay a widow her entire life. It shows her dedication to her dreams and to her work and to her passion. And she really was France's top female entrepreneur, and then Europe's first female entrepreneur, and today it's the global brand that is drunk the most.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you so much. Yes. Okay. So why were you passionate about bringing the story to the big screen?
I think it's an amazing story. It's an amazing story that most people don't know, even though they drink Widow Clicquot champagne. And most people don't even know that Veuve means widow. So it's the story of a young woman who's made a widow when she's very young. Her husband dies very suddenly, and it's the repercussions of that through her life going backwards and going forwards. So the film splits into two parts to explain that.
And obviously Veuve Clicquot is such an iconic brand. What was it like bringing this story to the big screen?
It wasn't glamorous. We were shooting on a farm in the rain and with lots of mud, and it was winter. So the film has a kind of unglamorous feel in a way, but it's set in this beautiful place with incredible costumes and production design. But actually, the situation wasn't very glamorous at all.
Yeah, usually production is not glamorous, right?
It definitely wasn't.
And this character is obviously, the main theme is perseverance, right? So let's talk about the character's perseverance through so much obstacle.
Yeah, I think the film begins with a tragedy, and it's really about how she overcomes her fear and anxiety about how to overcome the problems that come hurtling towards her through the story. So, she tries to take control of the vineyard and is met by resistance. She tries to move forward with the project, is met with resistance. And so it wasn't easy for her. She is one of the first entrepreneurs in Europe, if not the world, and she's certainly one of the first global entrepreneurs in the world. So she took a very small wine company and turned it into a huge project by the end of her life, and really dedicated her life to it. She didn't leave the vineyard again in her life after her husband died. So she stayed in her vineyard and worked incredibly hard to make that dream come true. Yeah.
You can fly higher than